Thank you very much, Dr. Nair, for introduction, and my fellow eminent panelist, Dr. Basu, Shri Rajesh Prakash. I see several luminaries present here in the field of technology, R&D, innovation, from academia, from industry, government, all sectors represented here. For me, it's a great opportunity to be here speaking to all of you, and I would like to thank Indian Technology Congress 2013 and particularly Dr. Nair for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to speak about some thoughts on how do we see India could move ahead in terms of technology, innovation. There are many thoughts, but I'd like to leave some thoughts with you, and I think they would be perhaps relevant when we debate on them. So I'll be covering my presentation on a basic business model. When we talk about technology, what exactly are we talking about? Where there's a connect there. So I'll talk about the innovation, how the companies look at it, what are the issues with the organizations. Having spent some years as a director HR, I thought it would be relevant to point out most of the problems in the organization, while they have technical capabilities, run into difficulty because of several other softer issues. I'll talk about technology innovation. I'll talk about some of the growth opportunities that exist. Also, we shouldn't forget about the Gandhian innovation. And I'd like to share with two examples of some of the changes and innovative technology modification that we implemented in our company, Petron Intelligy, which has given us good dividends on that. So quickly, well, when we talk about technology, actually we are talking about a business, a successful business. And when we talk about business, there are, to my mind, three parameters that constitute for a success of a business. One is, of course, the technology. Very important, and all organizations look for the best technology in line at any given point in time and always try to upgrade that. The second point, of course, is the operating practices, systems, procedures, what we can call as a software of the company. And if you have a bright idea today, any person or organization, company can have access to the finances, that's not a problem today, and get the best technology from the world. You can also get the best working practices, system procedures also. But if that is the case, then all the companies must be performing the best in the world. Why is it that the companies always perform differently? The answer perhaps lies in the parameter 3, that is the people. And therefore, to see that the technology works and works better than others, it is the people that make all the difference. And therefore, we should not forget when we talk about technology that there is a direct connect between technology and talent. And that's what we want to point out. And we must see what all we are doing in our own organization to see that this connect is very strong and enabling. If you see just a one parameter that the top companies of the world, the so-called Fortune 500 group, how many Indian companies are there and how do we compare? See, we are much below, just about 7-8 companies from India that are represented there. You see China, which started late but have reached such a this thing, how these companies are successful. How the other bigger corporations are successful. What is it that we cannot do and our companies cannot do to become successful, grow bigger? And actually, when you talk about business, you shouldn't be really limiting yourself to geographical regions. India definitely remains our focus, but you can always look India, but look at the world for opportunities. So here is just one thing, we should be conscious of that, and we should be having the realities when we really talk about development, growth, technology, innovations, and why the Indian companies are lagging behind on that. We talk about competitive advantage, how the companies have that one something unique niche which makes them successful. I think if you analyze today in India, all our companies, particularly looking at the present day environment, business environment, need to change. You can't be doing business as you used to do 5 years or 10 years back. You need to change because the business environment is changing, and therefore majority of companies need to transform. You try to acquire some other company which has that niche technology and way of doing business. There also more than 60% of the acquisitions have actually ultimately failed, not given those desired results. You have strategic alliances, even those majority of them have not been really successful. Why all this happens and why companies cannot really grow? We analyze this, then for India specific, there are 3 major issues which I have listed down here. Is focus, that the companies just look at quick gains and are not looking at long-term sustainable solutions. Number 2, most of the companies give very less importance on the softer organizational issues like leadership, work culture, the human side of enterprise. This is very important. All those successful organizations, there have been tremendous amount of studies that are successful and are in our companies, why they are not looking at these softer issues, and which is so important. And third, just for adoption, I think limitations are there for the new systems, techniques, without really making modification for adoption in the Indian context. You just can't import anything and start using it or producing it. It doesn't work like that. Dr. Pritam Singh, who is a management guru in our country, he talks about that companies would have to need what he calls a corporate renaissance. They have to change the way the business is done. And it's not just a transformation, it's a major change, shift from what they were doing. And I've tried to list here 7, 8 such issues which are very important from the point of view that the companies need to change. First is the vision. Why vision is, we talk about generally a vision. Vision, if you revisit it, it creates excitement, inspires, it has emotional attachment with the people. It creates a purposeful, all energies, collective energies in one direction. Sony, if you see, why is successful? One of the things is reflected from their vision statement. And it says, we shall welcome technical difficulties and focus on highly sophisticated technical products that have great usefulness for society, regardless of the quantity involved. For General Electric, GE, the vision was beat number 1, number 2, or out. National Corporation, make electrical goods available as cheaply as water. I think they really meant that they would like to practice their vision. Our corporations need to see how they create that emotional connect with the people and really mean what they really adopt and see vision and create that kind of correlation of energies towards that. Coming to new business model, as I said, you can't be doing same business as you were doing 10 years back. It's not possible. Things have changed, markets have changed, dynamics have changed. You need to look at new business models there. Today it is chaotic, highly unpredictable business environment, so you need to be changing yourself. There's no assured business today. And everything looks to be topsy-turvy. CEOs plan just for the quarter. They can't plan for 5 years. I don't know how the government plans for 5 years actually. CEOs can't plan and see numbers beyond a year in any case, but it goes quarter to quarter actually. So how do you plan your business in that? So you need to really work on new business models. And Bill Gates had said, that we are always 2 years away from failure. That kind of fear is there. So you really keep hammering and working on your vision. You need to create a word organization. You have to create wealth. You must be customer centric. You must look at cost leadership. Best in the class, most cost efficient. You must look at innovation. There is no growth progress without innovation. And then today, when we call it running race, how many of the companies actually look at the customer, what they need? You can be doing your thing, anything yourself, but you need to really focus what is customer needs, and therefore you need to be customer centric. You need to perhaps also look at internal customer this concept very closely and really implement it on that. Intellectual capital, innovate. I think this is one of the most important things when we talk about technology. Intellectual capital is actually a sum total of experience and knowledge. It is the wisdom. Many organizations do not have any system to capture this wisdom. So therefore, knowledge management remains one very important aspect of that. Besides that, when you talk about intellectual wisdom, intellectual capital, you must attract the talent, nurture them, develop them, give them that freedom, space to work, allow them to network, and capture their intangible ideas systematically, and then use this for generations to come. I think that's what one should do. So knowledge management, encouraging innovation are very important. Just a minute, I'll deal with this like preparing today for tomorrow. Things are changing so fast. Many competencies that are relevant today would cease to be relevant after 4 years, 5 years. You must look at and you must develop what Shell used to do and still does is the preparing scenarios. Company prepares for any kind of situation that might come in business. They develop, being in the oil and gas sector, Shell is one of the leaders in the world, and they have groups which works on, for example, in a scenario, if no oil is found, how they're going to survive. Or tremendous amount of oil has been found and the prices drop. What will they do? Or a substitute to oil has been found, which is a much cheaper option. How the company should behave. And they just don't develop scenarios, they have an action plan to support these. So the company can quickly change over gears and be prepared for that. So you must prepare for this thing. And what Dell said, Michael Dell, the CEO of the Dell, in this business there are two kinds of people really. The quick and the dead. People are very clear about what needs to be done, how to sustain your companies. Creative destruction, teamwork, ethical governance, I think we all know that is so important and we need to really work on that. I'll just dwell upon creative destruction. Many of the organizations just keep doing what they were doing 10 years back, 5 years back, now, and they have no idea to change and they just keep on doing this thing. If you have in our own Indian mythology also, there is a preservation, destruction and creation. I think the same thing need to be followed when it comes to organization. You need to selectively forget and decimate some of the way of doing business, parts of the organization, and do something different. So create new thing. This is very important, otherwise you can't innovate, you can't really be competitive. In no time the companies will become redundant actually. It's very important, and that's why I like to make a special emphasis on this. Number two is that organizations must look at an integrated approach. That means whether it's an R&D, innovation, the knowledge management and the talent have to work together. If any of these things is not there, absent or poor, it would have ultimate impact on the idea generation, innovation, new ways of doing things. That creation part would be really impacted on that. So there has to be an integration of the hardware, software and the humanware of the organization. Then only you can really be confident of you that your technological innovation takes place and you move ahead and have that competitive advantage and edge over your competitors, whether in the country or even abroad. Technology and innovation, we are very happy with jugaad engineering. We don't see beyond that actually. Small thing, we are very happy, and then, it's a great thing that we have done. I think we need to really look at that. All these jugaad engineering are good, practical, useful things, but they are technically highly unsafe, environmentally unsustainable. You can't get a patent on them, and just has a limited use there. What actually matters for a country is a high technology innovation. That is the real test for our companies when it comes to global competitiveness. And when we see India, unfortunately, we don't have very impressive record. If you see just one number, how many patents have been filed, we lag behind far, actually. We need to really assess on two parameters: how many patents have been filed versus investment. We should be very clear, no emotions attached. It's a basic necessity. Number two, companies must look at what is the return on investment in technology. All these things should be measurable indices which you can benchmark with the best in the world and compare yourselves. Then only you can progress. So this is becoming very, very important. I like to make that for innovation, these are, to my mind, 5 important pillars, and all organizations really should focus on that. The human capital, we talked about this. Knowledge is developed because of people. Companies must invest on people, get the best people, but give them more space, give them freedom to experiment, freedom to fail in some of the things. Then only you really get that experience. Changing nature, things are changing, it will keep on changing. It will change much quicker now. When we talk about technology, what all is coming up, I'll just dwell upon some of the points, some of the new technology opportunities that are there. Things are going to change much faster now. Are we prepared for that? You must look at global dimensions. Localized Indian success is good, but then if the companies have to grow, they must be on a sustainable, basic, real innovation model. Governance and measurements, unless you really benchmark and undertake your own SWOT analysis, you never know what's going to happen and what is happening right now. Must undertake these things. So these are, to my mind, are 5 pillars which every organization must have it. If you have best of the technology, you would fail if any of the pillars are not there or are weak. So the 3 basic parameters of an organization: the technology, hardware, the system, procedure, the software, and the humanware must actually complement each other. Then only you can expect. Some of the Indian successes, very good, made an international mark. The Nano is a true example. The Jaipur Foot. And then we have some of the vaccines, some of the medical healthcare areas, some of the remarkable things have been invented. So we have potential. Our companies have potential. They have been able to make mark. They need to make more mark, actually, dominate some of the areas, actually. Just a linkage on the R&D expenditure and the innovations, actually. We just did an analysis. This is a Booz and Company data which I'm using here. While R&D is good, necessary, must keep going on for new ideas, new products, new services and all. But innovation is what brings you a more remarkable change. So that's what all the organizations must pursue. If you see here, the top 10 companies, the innovators and the spenders, if you see the kind of performance they've said, the innovators have by far performed much better than the spenders here. So there's something else that is technology. And that's what I'm making a point, that one should be having an integrated approach on that. From the investment point of view, I think we are investing good, is increasing here. Of course, the last, there's been some shortfall, not significant, but we need to spend more. An analysis of how much our companies spend on R&D is actually dismal. We used to debate in ONGC when I was there, although our numbers were very large, even 0.5% would mean a few hundred crores, but then I think the companies need to spend much more. And then not only R&D, I think there is definitely a disconnect between R&D, academic institution, and commercialization. We see when I did my PhD in Germany, I had to wait for 2 months for my professor to come back from industry to that institute. I was surprised. I said, well, how it is happening? This doesn't happen in our country. There, a professor goes for 2 years in the industry, works there, and if any product is developed, within a year it is commercialized. Contrary, an R&D head or a good scientist can come, teach in the industry for 1 year, 2 years, and goes back on that. It's a wonderful thing. I think we need to really take some examples from some of these developing countries and good practices. Just see the patents filed, the top 15 countries, if you say, India doesn't figure here. We take the other 15, the middle income countries, of course, we are there, but I think we are much below. If you compare, and we always tend to compare China, our neighbor, then we are far behind. What is it that we need to do to really come to the first 10 or maybe first 5? I think we should aim at that, actually. We need to do a critical analysis, and everyone has a role to play. The industry, the academia, the government, everyone has to play a role there. A good thing, that trend is seen as very encouraging, that the red line, which is the Asia patent application file, is growing much faster. So we hope this trend continues and India becomes the driver of this curve here. If you see the top 20 companies in the world that have been filing patents, there is none from India. Dominated by US, Japan, Germany, all this. If you see 20 universities, we have about 200 universities in the country. We boast about a large number of engineers, scientists, and postgraduates, doctors. But there is always a big employable tag there. We need to be conscious of that, actually. And when we see this, universities, there is no university figuring in terms of filing the patent. Yes, when it comes to government, the only organization is the CSIR here, number 15. And we only hope that the numbers grow here, at least some organizations doing that. And we need to really see that they need to collaborate, perhaps with the industry, with the government, and really take the country forward. Some of the tactics, this is again a study done by McKinsey, and I just want to point out the last one. All those companies which have centralized innovation initiatives at a corporate center level, company level, actually have performed better. So we need to see which companies have acted how and have become successful. This is perhaps a model there. So we need to really adopt and need not reinvent or experience few things that have been experimented. Similarly, if you want to take 3-4 major parameters which the study brought out, which are the most important, which affects the technological innovation, the first is aligning human and financial resources. You get the best technology, but if you are not able to address these issues, it's going to be of no use. Overcoming internal corporate politics, lack of formalized process. So you need to really look at, as I said again, integration of software, hardware, and humanware. That's the success in that. I'd like to really again share with you a very latest McKinsey study just done a couple of weeks back, in which they have identified some 13 very disruptive kind of technologies. Disruptive means that make a dramatic change in the world. And out of the 13, 12 technologies have been identified as very important for India. And that impact based on what has been done earlier, worldwide, the similar technologies, they have a capability of 20 to 30 trillion USD impact possible by 2025. Some of the technology we see are already making impact. And for India, the potential is that it can stimulate demand and achieve productivity in a very low productivity areas that we have problem in the country. I'll just run through these. What are these 12 technologies? The one group is immediate impact. We are experiencing right now. Mobile internet, knowledge work automation, Internet of Things, cloud technologies. These are all terrific technologies capable of making tremendous kind of impact. India, of course, will remain more of an adapter of technology rather than innovator, but I think the effort should be to really move to innovator category there. And the impact you can see of all these four put together, particularly driven by mobile internet technologies, is it will touch 45% of perhaps the biggest impact in country. So here is an opportunity where our companies need to really capture that and utilize this. The last is the long-term impact. Of course, these are the technologies like robotics. Robots would do all household jobs sometime 10 years from now. This is seen that after 10 years, India would perhaps see the impact of these technologies. Robots would do a surgery. All those dangerous work would be done by robots. 3D printing, remarkable technology which can bring about from a virtual blueprint somewhere else, print 3D models with different materials. It will dramatically change the way business is going to be done. Advanced materials, very durable, high strength, light, all kinds of things that you need, you can aspire for, you can really get those kind of material. Autonomous vehicles, we already have Google car running on the streets now. These are going to change dramatically. But of course here, the impact would be after perhaps a decade. And therefore, for these three types of technologies, I think is an opportunity for all of us, the industry leaders, the government, the academic institutions, everyone has to come together to really capitalize. This opportunity is not going to come again for India. It's a big chance to really capitalize on this and really take the country forward in this. We shouldn't forget what Gandhi said. I would prize every invention of science made for the benefit of all. I think we see more and more Indian corporates actually adopting it in their practice. That's a very good thing. The social aspect of the business must not be forgotten. In the end, 5 things to my mind should be the rule for the CEOs. Inclusive growth, vision, chasing the vision, revisiting the vision, taking people along. Stretch targets, easy targets are gone, you have to be in the race just to be one of the candidates. Innovate, no other way but to innovate. And innovate when you are in constraints and difficulties. Actually, great companies actually do a wonderful job there. And focus on people. Unless we really focus on our people, make them more empowered, make them more capable, transform them into knowledge workers, things cannot happen on that. I'd like to just share in the end 2 technological modification, I would say, but well thought, being done for the first time in the area of LNG. We bring in liquid gas from outside the country today and supply it to different parts of the country. We supply about 1/4 of the country's demand, little more than 1/4 now. We're expanding our terminals from Gujarat to Kochi next month perhaps, and then on the east coast near Vizag. And we hope with the 3 terminals we'll be able to satisfy country's larger demand of natural gas there. So when we bring gas, it is at minus 162 degrees, very cold, boiling liquid, boiling water kind of thing. And our main cost is the power. So we looked at that when the first terminal ever in this part of the world was being constructed. We actually have the vaporizers. We heat this thing in a controlled conditions and vaporize. So we normally is the open rack vaporizer which uses seawater. You bring in sea, therefore we are always coastal located. Seawater is brought in, used as a medium for heating it, vaporizing it, taking it back in a closed system, reheating it, again utilizing and sending it to the water, or otherwise just one-way flow on that. This was a traditional thing being followed. We saw it, our teams debated quite a bit, and we came to what we call it shell and tube vaporizer. We debated with the technology providers that India, this location offers a unique opportunity. We are a very hot country, humid, ideal for air to be used as the to heat the gas here, and we created a glycol-based water circulation system called shell and tube vaporizer, which gave tremendous amount of success. After our construction of this terminal, everywhere, wherever this opportunity was there, we saw this technology being used. Just to give you a benefit, actually, even the capex was less, the opex also was less, maintenance cost very less. There is hardly any impact, no impact on the marine life, which is again a sustainable issue on that, and annual savings of about 9 crores for a 5 million ton capacity. Now we are operating, of course, more than 10 million ton right now, so we have much more savings on that. So I think this was, credit goes to our technical team. We're really proud of that, that they debated, argued every technology, every part of the the plant, and questioned them and suggested them that why it can't be done by this method. Second was that we are a company with zero emissions. We very recently had a team from United States Environment Protection Agency. They brought in their unique cameras, infrared cameras, which actually detects micro seepages, micro leakages. No other camera actually, this is very specialized. So we said, fine, you come, please feel free to make a study of this thing. They spent about 4 days there, made a report, and just about 4 or 5 days back I received a letter of appreciation that they haven't seen any plant with such kind of efficiency. We don't leave any molecule go other than what is technically required, as per rule required. We otherwise capture it and again recondense it. It's a closed loop system. This has again saved us money from the losses. Gas is very costly, scarce resource, and environment point of view, a very sustainable kind of operations in this. There are many things that we can do, companies can do. The only thing is that you need to really make efforts, and as I said, it has to be an integrated effort, otherwise things don't work it. Thank you very much for being patient to hear this thing. Thank you.